Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra.
Hi, and welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra, a show that talks about living your best life. So over the years, we've talked about things from anxiety, depression, love life, affairs, all sorts of different things. And I thought today it might be a great idea to invite back Georgia Dow, a regular guest on Straight Talk. She's not here yet, but I'll start the show without her to discuss strategies to face life's challenges, because most of the topics that we talk about are like they're in and itself, you know, what to do if you're in a difficult relationship, what to do if you're suffering anxiety, what to do if you can't sleep. But what about what about the issues that affect us all every day, which is that you never really know when the shoe is going to drop, and in life, shoes drop. So you know what I'm talking about. You come home, you open up a bill from the government, and you find out that you owe $75,000. Or you come home and your partner says they don't love you anymore. Or God forbid you go to a doctor and you get a diagnosis. Or you lose your job. There's layoffs at your jobs. What do you do? How do you handle these situations? There are strategies, and this show is all about strategies. So first of all, if you want to join the conversation, call in at 1-866-472-5792. We'll be happy to take your questions on different situations. Or if you're shy and prefer not to call in, you can join the conversation on Facebook at Straight Talk Sandra. Or you can send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. So I think we have an idea about the difficult situations that show up for people. There's like no end of difficult situations. I remember reading when I was younger in a book that there's an equal amount of pain for all people. And I thought that was really odd at the time because, you know, how can you say there's an equal amount of pain for all people when some people lose their parents when they're very young or suffer incredible challenges even in childhood compared to someone who, you know, seems to have both parents and everything's in place. As an older person now, what I've come to realize is that's oversimplifying the saying. What happens is life has lots of pain in it and lots of challenges, death and loss and disappointments and hurt. And unfortunately, it comes and gets every one of us, not always in the same way, not at the same times, but we all face life's challenges. Another famous saying is that nothing changes except for death and taxes. I think that's fair. Earlier today, I was driving around town, and I drove by the house that I grew up in. I happened to be in that area of town. And I swear to God, I could blink my eyes and picture my mother in the kitchen and my father in the yard and me and my sister fighting. And yet my mom is not alive. My dad's not alive. And obviously my sister and I are out on our own. So when did that happen? Life happens. Okay, so that's an idea of all, you know, how life is ever changing and how do you cope with these changes, because most of us are creatures of habit and we don't love change. So I wanted to break it down today, and we'll have, as I said, Georgia Dow joining us shortly, and she'll give her input on strategies to deal with difficult situations. And I'm going to give you strategy number 1 right now. And you might want to write this down because it is important that you know what to do if today was your day that you got a difficult situation. So my first strategy in difficult situations is to take, and I know this sounds ridiculously simple, but it's not, is to take a breath. Now, why do I say it sounds ridiculously simple is because if somebody just told you, I don't know, a diagnosis or you've lost your job, your natural inclination is not going to be to breathe. So I'm asking you to remember this and to take a deep breath. And when I say a deep breath, it's a diaphragmatic breath. So that means you inhale through your nostrils down into your stomach, pushing your stomach out. Now, why is this so important? It's so important, I can't even tell you, is that when we get bad news, our sympathetic nervous system gets triggered because we feel like, oh my God, I'm in big trouble. And when we take a deep breath in the way that I'm describing, through your nostrils, into your diaphragm, pushing your stomach out, and a nice long exhale through your mouth, you turn on the opposing nervous system, the system that's calm. Now, you might be thinking, well, how am I supposed to be calm if I get bad news like that? Well, the thing is that that's probably the most important time in your life to be calm, because the other thing that the sympathetic nervous system does, and this is quite fascinating, is it shuts down your neocortex, which is the new part of the brain, which is the logical thinking, what do I do in this situation? And it goes into the old animalistic part of our brain, limbic system, which really just is not thinking clearly. It just thinks of fight or flight. And fight or flight is not necessarily going to help you in a situation. Your boss says, we're laying off people, punching them in the face, not necessarily your best strategy. Okay, so we want to be able to breathe. I said 1 breath, but if you could do 10 breaths like that, it'd be even more powerful. Sometimes somebody is looking right at you, you don't have time. So if you can just give yourself a few seconds to catch your breath and to go into a diaphragmatic breathing and to not necessarily react, which is actually strategy number 2, is we tend to be reactive. We find out something and we become irate. We react. We want to punch someone. We start screaming. We run away. We say something hurtful. None of these lead to good results. So the breathing leads into not being reactive, and the not being reactive leads into options. So let's keep working with a situation. You're at work, your boss says that maybe he's not going to lay you off, or she's going to lay you off, but maybe you're going to be demoted. And you don't take the breath, you become reactive, you say some choice swear words to your boss. What happens next? Now you're out of a job. As opposed to strategy 1 and 2, and I've got way more than that, which is you take a breath, you calm your nervous system, you maybe even go to the bathroom to do a few more breaths. Instead of being reactive, you talk to your boss and you go, well, help me understand why this is happening, and is there anything I can do to change it? Now, that takes a certain amount of skill, and that skill can be learned. And that skill can be learned by practicing it daily. So even during this show right now, maybe we could all take a breath together. I'll do it with you. Like an inhale through the nostrils like this, into the belly, and then a nice long exhale. If you're doing it right, it feels really nice. Being reactive, how has it helped in your life? How many people listening to the show right now? We have listeners all over the world. How many people would call themselves reactive? I'll tell you, I definitely used to be very, very reactive, no doubt about it. And my life would sometimes go in yo-yos because I'd be happy, I'd be upset. Being a little bit more detached and not reactive allows me to deal with life situations a lot easier. But it is a muscle. You have to picture going to the gym. I didn't become less reactive because I heard a radio show say be less reactive. I had to really work that muscle. So what did I do is I took that breath every time a situation would happen and I wanted to react. I said, hold on, Sandra, let's wait a minute. So again, you're breathing, you're teaching yourself not to be reactive. So one of the things you can say to yourself to not be reactive is, some of those adages that people say, this too shall pass, things like this happen, I'll get through this, I'm here, and so on and so forth. Now, the timing is beautiful because, as I've been mentioning, I brought in the amazing and brilliant Georgia Dow to add her inputs on this topic. Actually, her and I were talking one day about life's challenges, and that's how we came up with this idea. Georgia said, why don't we do a radio show about facing life's challenges? And because, I was saying Georgia's arrived. We'll welcome her in a moment. I was saying that well, maybe I'll start with welcome, Georgia.
Thank you.
So happy to have you back. It's been a while. Really great to see you. And I'm so glad you're here to add your input. You're a top psychotherapist and a brilliant, brilliant woman. And what I was saying is that, life, it's always changing life. So we all have to face challenges. No one gets out of here alive, so to speak. And
yes.
The thing is, the shows till now have always been on you can't sleep, the show's on insomnia or on anxiety, or your husband's having an affair, or your wife is this or whatever. This is very global for anyone who's listening, is because we all have challenges that show up in our life. Would you agree?
I think that it's absolutely right. And I think that it is not really the challenge. It is your own feeling of your abilities to handle it.
And that's why I call you brilliant. So well said. Can you say more?
Well, if you feel like you know how to deal with this, so say that I believe that I am Wonder Woman, and two thugs come up to me, I'm going to think, you know what, these poor thugs.
Well, you are a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I do feel sorry for the thugs. I do have to say that. She is a black belt.
Right, but that's because of my perception to that. So I'm not going to have a huge anxiety response. I'm going to feel really calm going to that, and I will take care of things. Now, if I think of myself and I think I am meek and weak and I'm not going to be able to handle this and I am going to suffer and it's going to be horrible, already my outlook going in, because of my perception of my own ability to cope, is very low. I'm going to have a huge anxiety response to that.
Anticipatory.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, I'm not going to handle it as well as I could have if not. And it may not even be accurate. I might actually be great at dealing with these thugs or whatever issue it is in front of me.
I think you might be talking about resiliency.
I think that we are, Sandra. How brilliant that was of you.
You come on, it was you, all you. So you're talking about that the muscle that I was talking about coping with life's challenges. You just brought it home to the word resiliency. Yeah. Because what you were talking about is that a belief, which I'm going to add as strategy number 3. Strategy number 3 is a belief that I can cope with almost anything.
Right.
That's what you're talking about.
Right.
I'll deal with this.
I will deal with this. I will be able to make it through. I've made it through worse. It's one of these things that, even if you say, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen. When you say to yourself, you know what, but I will learn from it. It is all about, if you say the word, this is going to be a huge struggle or this is going to be a huge challenge, they give a different effect to our mind stream. I like
that. Say that again.
If you say that this is going to be a huge, suffering, or this is going to be a huge challenge, or this is a huge difficulty, all of those things are going to be completely different with the way that your body is going to deal with it.
You say this
is a challenge, you feel tough. Look at me going into this challenge. Look at how brave and courageous I am. If you say I'm going to suffer, this is going to be difficult, now I'm the victim in this story.
I like that.
And you don't do well. Victimhood does not do well because we've just downed ourselves. You have just spoken about yourself and said, I'm not that tough and strong, when you probably are.
So this would fit with, I gave some examples at the beginning of things that can happen when the shoe drops. This would fit, for example, with a doctor's diagnosis. Instead of I'm going to suffer, I look at how strong I am and I'm going to be able to deal with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But who is this person? Because most people would go into, I'm going to suffer, I'm going to die, this is going to be awful. So what determines, if for people listening going, well, no, I could never handle that, because that's what people say, I can never handle a bad diagnosis, I can never handle losing my job, I can never handle my husband walking out. Who is the person that says, you know what, I wouldn't like it, but it's a challenge and I deal with it? So you're that person, because you're saying that you would say to yourself, okay, this is a challenge, let's go for it. But what makes this person be that way? For people listening saying, I can't do it, because I know people say I can't do it. And I always say to them, you could do it. You just don't know you could do it yet. Because nobody wants to do it.
No one's looking for difficulty. No. We don't aim for that.
No.
But it's just honesty. You could. You wouldn't want to. It would be painful. But you probably could. That's the thing. You have to say to yourself, have I dealt with worse? Have I dealt with a similar situation to this? Is this going to break me? Am I not going to be able to cope with this? Odds are, if you're being honest, you could. Not only you could, but you might thrive through it.
Thrive.
This might actually make you learn something. Even through difficulty, we often learn much more through adversity than we ever do when things go well. All of my biggest life changes have been through like humiliation and embarrassment and struggle and failure, and I don't like them.
Oh, okay. So I want you, everybody listening, and you too, Georgia Dow, on the commercial break, to be thinking. You can call in if you want to at 1-866-472-5792. And we're going to reveal, Georgia and I, an adversity in our life that changed our life for the better. Now, I want you to know that if you, Georgia's 100% right, if you think about it, your adversities have made you who you are. As a matter of fact, I challenge you, Georgia Dow, and everyone else listening. I challenge you that if you could do your life over again without that adversity, I have a feeling you'd keep the adversity. I'm willing to bet many of you would. And many of you might be going, no, I didn't like that. It was horrible. But hold on. What Georgia said, so true. You learned from it. You grew into a different person. I'll start the ball rolling when we come back from the break, and I will tell you about something that happened to me when I was 10 years old. Radically changed my life.
Ooh.
Absolutely. And made me who I am. So Georgia's intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
She's intrigued. I think you know. But anyways, We'll be right back. Georgia will share hers too. We'll be right back with Straight Talk. Take the time on the commercial to think about adversities in your life that made your life better. We'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats, and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So we're back on Straight Talk, such an important topic, talking about strategies to face life's challenges. And we're definitely going to keep it strategy-based because I don't like when it gets too theoretical because otherwise you don't have a takeaway. So I asked you to get a pen and piece of paper. I'm going to share with you one of my adversities that changed my life. Georgia will do the same, but not before I send a big thank you to our sponsor, Spa Munari. Now, if you are in Montreal and you're listening to this, I just want to say, and this is really really the truth. Spa Minari is not only a beautiful and incredible spa, but it's run by a woman who is so into empowerment and so into living your best life. Talk about resiliency. She's been on the show Time Med. She's a breast cancer survivor. She's talked on the show about being a survivor of sexual molestation. I mean, we can really tie her into it. So she brings all that to her spa, that warmth and love and resilience. So if you are in Montreal, if you call them at area code 514-695-5040, and you mention that you heard about them on Straight Talk with Sandra Rishi, you get 15% off any treatment, massage, facial, anything. I mean, come on. That's a big part of coping with life's challenges, too. I had a massage today.
Did you?
I did.
Look at you being so good with your self-care.
And I just injured my rib. I think you know that.
Yes.
And so I haven't been having my massages.
I shouldn't have tripped you.
No, you really should, Sab. You're getting a bit out of control, Georgia Dow. You may not be back on the radio. Anyways, we're joking. We like to banter a little bit. I apologize. We forget we're on the radio, apparently. No, but massage is a good thing to mention. It's a good segue. That wasn't supposed to be the strategy just yet, but I'm going to go with it. Self-care. Isn't that part of building resiliency? Self-care. I face an adversity. I need my massage. I need time for myself. What do you think?
You need, and you need to listen to, where are you at right now? I think that a lot of people are so far on their down on their importance list that they don't even know that they need a massage,
right,
or a timeout, or to say no to a project, or be able to set boundaries. They're not even aware of that. So self-care is all about listening to yourself and then doing what your body and mind is saying you need.
Fantastically said. Self-care we're going to call self-care strategy number 5. And we can tie it to strategy number 2, because if you do self-care regularly, I'm less reactive. If my cup is full, I'm less reactive. When my cup is emptieth, I'm a bit more reactive. Would you say? When you're tired, when you're not sleeping?
The more you have in your cup, the more you have to give without feeling empty. It's really straightforward. If you're playing poker and you have a lot of poker chips, each hand costs less to you, but you're not going to go all in if you don't have any chips to be able to play. And that's what happens to a lot of people, is that they're not taking good enough care about themselves.
Who would have thought our sponsor Spa Minari got us onto self-care? Definitely a good time to consider booking that massage. Maybe, go for a massage, go for a facial. It's always important.
Always nice.
Okay, so I promised I would talk about an adversity that changed my life. So when I was in grade 5, the teachers, I was a smart little kid, and the teachers came to my parents and said, we'd like to skip a grade for your daughter, and you have the choice of sending her to French immersion or to high school. Now, my birthday is also in September, which made me a young child for my grade to begin with. So my parents decided not to go with the French immersion. That really hurt me later in life, and put me in high school. And I went into high school at the ripe age of 10. Now, I don't know where you're listening to the show, but 10 years old is very young to be in high school. And I had European parents that protected me so much that I really do have to put this out, that when I saw girls smoking, I thought they were hookers, because I had only seen hookers in movies smoke. Okay, I know you're all laughing, but that is the truth, says the ex-bartender. So a 10-year-old in high school, that overprotected, my parents still dressed me. What do you suppose happened? I bet you guessed it. Every day I was beat up. Every day. Every day I could not walk down the street without a gang of girls coming out to me. I remember one particular incident where they took gum and wrapped my hair around it. Horrible, okay? And I lived in fear. Now, my parents, because they were immigrants to this country, felt very uncomfortable to report the girls, and so I kept getting beat up. So this was a horrible time in my life, absolutely horrible. I'm sure you can imagine Georgia's looking very sympathetic. You can't see that through the radio. You can imagine that was horrible.
Yeah.
I lived in fear, almost like an anxious fear to walk out of my house.
Of course.
Now, looking at my life now as a therapist, and as I evolved and wanted to get stronger and to never be in a situation like that again, it radically changed everything about me. Number one, I really don't like bullying. That's obvious. And so I run a clinic. I get to spread that message. Number two, I went and became a bartender. Now, that's a bit of a strange thing to do from a girl who was so overprotected, but I knew I had to toughen up. So I worked in many tough bars, and I learned to defend myself. So we have some similarities there. And that was very important to me, to be able to empower myself and then thereby empower my children. I'm not sure I would have gotten that desire, that motivation, she's nodding, without the adversity. Maybe not. Maybe I would have just been a little bit of a wimpy kid and went that way. But a fire was born in me that nobody is ever going to touch me like that again. Georgia, your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that it's such a telling tale that you learned from what happened to you, and that made you not only decide to change yourself, but to also help other people change their lives as well.
Yeah, and you know me, so you can probably see how this has played into who I am.
Yeah,
she's laughing.
Yeah,
it's a big factor. Now,
for sure.
I don't know if this is the incident you're going to give, but I know you were beat up too.
It was my incident. I feel a little bad because it's very similar in that, and I have I have almost too many traumas and embarrassing stories to tell, and that's why I think I have no social anxiety, because I've already done every single exposure to myself ever possible. I have done it and lived through it at one point in time. But I also was very young for my grade, and so I was one of the youngest people in my class. And my parents loved and cared for me, but they didn't really help me. I was the youngest in my household by many years, 15 years. And so my parents they did a lot of loving me, and that's great. And I felt very secure and happy and everything else, but they didn't do a lot of schoolwork with me. And so I went in to school learning in a French school, and I had absolutely no clue about anything. And I was also, I think I was like a late bloomer developmentally.
Yeah, me too.
And so I was spanked by a teacher in front of everyone else in the class. I remember being sent to the kindergarten. I remember wearing a dunce cap and being put in the corner.
Dunce cap? How old are you?
I know. It was a very old, antiquated French school, and I have no clue. But
okay. So what was the teaching from this? How did this?
And I was also really bad at everything. I remember being the last one picked every time.
Now.
I was the last one picked for every sport, every group, I was tormented that we were going to do the who's going to pick who for what team.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why I had to become Canadian champion, was to prove to myself that wasn't who I was.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also where I learned my empathy, because I've been through so much horrible, embarrassing situations that I never wanted someone else to feel that small. And so it gave me empathy, and it also, I had to teach myself that I was different than what everyone thought that I was. And so I think a lot of my drive comes from the pain that I felt, and a lot of my empathy goes from the pain that I felt, because I was that awkward, buck-toothed, fanged child with her hair everywhere that really was not, knowing what other kids knew at that time, and was a little bit oblivious to the world. And because of that, it was pretty traumatic. But would I change it? I don't think that I would be as successful if I didn't have that. Right. I don't think that I would have the care. I think that I could have if I was the popular kid, I think that I could have ended up becoming really just into me, and the world is easy because the world is easy for me, so the world must be easy for everyone else, and not have the same thought and care that I have for other people. And so I think that in some ways it wasn't a great gift, but I think that it was truly a gift for me, and especially for me as a therapist, because I see some other child that's going through that, and I'm like, I'm going to make sure I help you.
And it's interesting because you and I, when we met, one of our connections was we are very powerhouse kind of women, we go for it, and we had such an incredible connection when we met. But yeah, the history is very similar. I guess we had something to prove, and I guess we turned, which is strategy number 6, if I'm counting right, 5 or 6, turned our lemons into lemonade, which is another saying I love. We turned our lemons into lemonade. She became the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu champion, and that fear of beating up also made me want to be the best at the things I did, and to be able to be strong and empowered and learn what are boundaries, what are consequences, is it okay if someone puts gum in your hair? Heck no, it's not okay. Okay, because the worst part about that story is I just stood there. That's the worst part of the story. I did not know how to defend myself. And and it's some people listening know us, but some people listening don't. And I don't think many people would describe me and you as wimpy.
No.
I'm thinking
no, I don't
other things, but maybe not that.
Perhaps other things.
that brings up turning lemons into lemonade brings up, I think that you're right, that it helped us with empathy and to become therapists. And I think we love what we do, and there's a lot of meaning in it. Sometimes a client comes in the office and they have faced an adversity that is so horrendous that it's very, very difficult to use the same kinds of coping strategies. For example, if there was a death of a child, then you would give someone if there was a death of a parent. And this leads me to strategy number 7, which would be take the pain in your life and find meaning in it. Now, so I am thinking of a client who lost their child, and because that was difficult, because you can't say the same things. So how can you find meaning in losing a child? That's really tough. Well, we arrived at the fact that perhaps she would lead up support groups for other people in that situation. Can you find meaning in your tragedy? We've seen this throughout history. We've seen people like, Helen Keller, and Frank. There's lots of people who have taken their adversities and found meaning in it and done something really amazing to the world. I can't think of the guy also with cerebral palsy, very famous.
Yes,
who is that?
I'm bad with names.
Stephen Hawkins.
Yes.
Incredible. So what do you think of that strategy, and how do people do that instead of going into, you mentioned victimhood. So find meaning in your pain as opposed to going into, why me? This is horrible. Why me? By the way, the answer to why me is, why not you? I hate to say it, but that's the answer.
Well, there's a randomness to life to that. Yeah. I think that a lot of, feel your pain, deal with it, but don't stay in it, because it becomes this pit where you could just stay there. And you want to be able to say, what is the lesson from this?
Yeah.
What can I do with this? How can I make this better? And, there's a line that I love, and I'm sorry, it's a cheesy movie line, but I actually really love it. And it's, why do we fall down? And that's so we can learn to get back up.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one.
I like the line.
I like it too.
It's from Batman, but
but it works.
A good line.
It works. It works. I thought you were going to do the "if you build it, they will come." I was like, oh no, we can't do that one. We should do a show on movie lines.
On movie lines,
because there are some good ones.
Great.
I do think movie directors sometimes are a bit of psychologists. There's always a little message.
Good movies
has
have
a
very
message,
good
and
psychology.
Batman movies definitely have psychology in them.
Okay,
we divert. So finding meaning in your pain, and then we talked about on the break that we wanted to bring up, and I really feel this is strong. As a matter of fact, I just gave this strategy to a friend of mine who was going through some difficult times in her relationship, to start a gratitude journal. But what I asked her to do, that was my twist on it, is to write when you're most furious with your partner, start a gratitude journal about everything you're grateful about them. When life throws you lemons, start a gratitude journal about even the lemons. It's amazing what happens. Now, you're big on, I know you agree strongly on this. Why are gratitude journals so powerful? Like, is it just woo-woo?
No. And I think that a lot of people find them hokey, and this is kind of like love me, But the nice part is that whatever you do at any moment, you get better at it. And so being positive, life is better. If you have to choose between being positive and being negative, be positive. The rose-colored glasses are better. But this is really about having gratitude for what is. So this is not rose-colored glasses. This is just looking at the good part in life. You can focus on the negative, and you probably know someone that focuses strongly on a negative, and they can get stuck there, and they will not even see the positive if it is right there in front of them. So I love doing gratitude journals. I love doing positive journals where you're now writing about yourself and things that you're proud of that you did during the day.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
And it starts you to be able to look at those around you and see the good even in the bad. And you look at the rain and you say, well, at least I don't have to water my flowers today. Or maybe I'll jump in some puddles. It is really by the way that you twist things that you can help make the world a little bit brighter for you. And perhaps some people will say, well, you know what, that's not being accurate. And I would just say to that, being negative is not accurate either. And it makes you feel sad, grumpy, and depressed. So out of both, choose the light. Look at the things that are in your life that you should be thankful and happy for. And if you do that for 3 weeks every day, 5 to 10 minutes a day, I can promise you're going to feel better after that week 3.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was just about to say that one of the reasons people stop doing gratitude journals is they think it's going to be like taking a pill. They're going to write down 3 things they're grateful for and they're going to feel immediately better. And that doesn't work like that. So I'm glad you put the 3 weeks on there. I particularly like writing about, again, if I was feeling a lot of negativity towards you and I had to write a great gratitude journal about you, it forces my brain to dig and find something. And the thing that gets people stuck also is they're like, how can I be grateful? I just found out that I have multiple sclerosis, or what is there to be grateful for? Well, you know what? The fact that you're breathing could be what you write down in your gratitude journal. It's something. Some days I'm not, I really think we have to be honest here on the radio. There are days where I write, I'm grateful for this stupid television show that I'm watching because I really like it and I'm in my cozy bed. It does not have to be deep. But I think you're training your brain to develop muscles. And I do a gratitude journal. I don't know if you do. I do one every single night. I try really hard not to forget. And it's also really fun to look back on. My life looks like really quite good when I look at it, because obviously, now that's not to say that you don't deal with repressed emotions or negative emotions. We're not saying that I don't keep a journal about negativity, but if I need to feel something, gratitude doesn't mean I'm not allowed to feel it, right?
Right, exactly. It's just, where do you decide to spend your energy and focus? I try to go through the day also and try to be positive inside of my head. I try to listen to the voice that I say. And if you can really be honest and be like, you know what, I'm not perfect and there's things I have to change, but I'm really happy about me, or I'm happy about being here and spending this time here on this radio show with Sandra. And I can say, you know what, I'm really happy to be right where I am right now, and I don't have to be anywhere else. And you just feel that peace and that feeling of being in the moment.
How do you do that? I like this.
I just go through the day, and then I always try to say, every time I'm somewhere, I take a moment, because I try to work on really being mindful.
Strategy number 8, mindfulness.
Of being exactly where you should be, and saying, you know what, I'm really lucky to be here. I'm really lucky to have good people around me, and really enjoy whatever I am doing right now, because that's a blessing to it. And even if you're going through times and troubles, like when my father was dying, but I'm happy I was there. Like, it was horrible, but I was happy I was there. And so if you can say every moment you're just happy to be where you are, and you just try to be there, your anxiety goes down, and you will, when you get good at it, and it does take time, because you're working on neurotransmitters and synapses, and you're just really growing a neural net that will be stronger towards positivity, you can actually feel the dopamine firing, and that's that feeling of being like, that feels good.
Awesome. Beautifully said. Well, we're going to take a short break, but that was strategy number 8, mindfulness, which is strongly linked with happiness. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk a bit more about mindfulness on Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats, and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
We are back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, a show today about facing life's challenges. And I know during the break you wanted to bring up something about, I
think that you have a really wonderful skill. And it's one of the things that I think is really rare today is that you always see the good in people and you are able to express that to others. And I think that we go through the world kind of blinded to what other people are going through. And you always make people, like you show the light and the good in everyone, and you're able to express that to everyone else so beautifully. It's something that lightens, I think, others' days, but it's just something that you do so well. You speak so like flowery about me. It makes me a little bit embarrassed because I don't think that it's really warranted. But it's
eye rolling on this end.
No, it's a beautiful and rare trait that when you feel something, you actually share it and you make other people feel so good about themselves. How do you do, and when did you start doing that? Like, it's just so nice.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. And I'm glad you brought it up, not because I love the compliment, which I did.
I love the compliment that you compliment others?
Yes, I love the compliment that compliment.
Yeah.
But again, I think you unconsciously also have detected that there's a payoff for me, because I feel if other people feel good and I see them feeling good, that makes me feel good too. So it is another strategy for dealing with life, right? But so the thing is that I think we've been raised to believe that we're in a rat race and we're competing against each other. And I think Lily Tomlin said it best when she said, even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat.
Yeah.
It's a great saying.
I love that. It's one of the things that I love the most about you is when you said that, instead of feeling jealous, you want to learn from other people that do things better
kid in the class.
and be a part of that and deal with that. And I think that it's just so few people do that, especially for women. There's a lot of like cutthroat kind of things that happen behind there. And I was so impressed with that statement, to be able to say that you're proud of when other people do it and you want them to teach you too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so wonderful. And that must have changed your entire life, to be able to enjoy when other people do things well instead of hope for ill upon them. What do you say about that when you hope for ill things on them? What's that? That's the drink that...
Oh, it's the Maya Angelou says that it's like hoping you're giving poison to someone else but drinking it yourself.
Love that.
Disastrous. Okay, the thing is that you're not competing against other people, you're competing against yourself. So other people can be your teachers. So if we bring it back to adversity, if I meet other people who have overcome adversity, they can be amazing teachers for me, and I have such admiration for them. So I enjoy showing people how good they are at things.
But that must take so much strength. I think that a lot of people have a difficulty with giving compliments or care to others, because then they think that makes themselves not that good.
But that's where I find it so odd, because it doesn't have anything to do with you. It's so rewarding because people like it, of course. And I think that the number one thing all humans crave is validation. I think we all want to be seen and recognized for our unique qualities. And I think we're not generous. And I think generosity is always a good quality. You can't go wrong with generosity in any way. Money, compliments, you cannot go wrong. Now, I'll go one step further. We talked about a gratitude journal, is that I recently read that it's a good idea to even consider writing a journal. And I was telling you this on the break, of 3 things you did in a day to make someone else feel really good.
I like like that.
And that
Paying
is,
it forward.
and you can feel so proud of yourself if, so the other night I read that and I was like, I'm going to write a note to someone who works for me, who works very hard, to tell her how much I appreciate it, which I may not have done. Now, you tell me, did I not get something out of that too? I made someone else feel good, but did I not feel good too?
You did. I think that you have a wonderful way of always also seeing the positive in people. You see other people with such a beautiful light that then I'm sure that makes other people just like you even more. So it's like almost like it's like just this self-feeding. Other people feel better, and then but you also can see it. Are you able to look at other people and be able to find that? What if they can't? What if their world is so dark? Can you give them some ideas to,
that's such a good,
how do you get past it? Because it's such a cost at first, and they may be worried, and maybe someone's not going to like the compliment.
Well, first of all, as I said, I think people want to be seen, so I don't think you can go wrong. But I think it has to be genuine. And I think I'm glad you brought that up, because even as therapists, I always tell the therapists when they join the team, do not give your clients a compliment that's not true. So my clients, and you know who you are, you're listening, will often say, oh, you just say that because you're my client. I will not say that your hair looks good if your hair doesn't look good. I'll find something else. Okay, I will give you a compliment, but I won't say you're doing well in therapy if you're not doing well in therapy. So number one is the compliment has to be genuine, because people sense the truth. And number two, I think you have to genuinely like people and look at them. But the thing is, when you like people, that means you like yourself, because you're people.
Deep.
Yeah.
Deep.
Right.
So you can't give to others what you haven't first given to yourself.
That's right. Which is your strategy. You're giving me all these compliments, but that's your strategy to notice things about yourself too that you did good today. That you contributed in some way. And that's strategy number 9, by the way, if we're counting properly, who knows if we are you contributing in some way to the world, to the planet, to the people, to the clients, to whatever? That will help also in difficult situations. Why depressed people get more and more depressed is their worlds get smaller and smaller, and they start to focus. I've heard depressed people go, I walked into the kitchen and my mood changed. And as a therapist, I definitely wanted to be a directive therapist to tell them, okay, so get out of the kitchen and maybe go to the soup kitchen. Get out of yourself, because it's very depressing to become too self-involved. Do you agree?
Yes, and I think that places have emotion and give you feelings. So if you're sitting and you're being sad and upset in a room, you go into that room and you will naturally feel a little bit more sad and upset, because we were made as a way of understanding survival, is that if we get bitten by a rattlesnake in this place, the next time we head to that place, we're a little bit weary of
cautious,
might go back to that. So even just changing your environment can change the way that you feel, because it's somewhere new, and that's hope. So you don't want to get stuck in one thing or even doing one activity, because we're highly associative. So if you're always sad and you do this thing, when you do that thing again, it'll probably bring back that feeling of, sad. So you want to kind of change things for yourself as well, so that you get something new, you do something
Get outside
new.
of yourself and learn from someone, which is, like you giving the strategy on the show today about that when you go places, and we said we'd come back to mindfulness, when you go somewhere, you take a minute to go, I'm really glad this is where I want to be. I think I just learned something amazing from you that I will immediately apply to my life. Okay, like tonight we have plans later. I will be walking into the MCAD every now and then gets together. That's our center, and we get together and have some fun, let off steam. I'll be walking in there and taking a moment, and maybe we can ask our listeners to do that, to ask yourself, are you grateful for where you are right at this minute, Georgia's strategy? Because I know I am. This show has been a source of great happiness, and we've had some really good times doing the show together. And I don't know if I always would take the moment. So that was an amazing strategy. That's why I like people, because you meet lots of people and you can learn from each person. That was your strategy, which I'm going to borrow.
Thank you. Please. That's why we do it, because, the other thing would be, I guess, which you're really good at, which is being open to change, right? You are open. You are very open to change, to trying something new, to being outside your comfort zone, right? It's one of your mottos, to be able to do something outside of yourself, to risk it, to not stay in the same narrow. It's one of these things of personal growth, to always, evolve, to try to do better. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, but to test that out. And I love that you're able to do that, because I think that that's such a strength, that you're able to evolve and try things.
Thank you, Georgia Dow. Now, let me ask you, do you think that these ways of being, getting out of yourself and learn from others, do you think they help cope with life's challenges? And if you say yes, how? Let's draw the line, because it's really nice that you see these qualities in me, and it's really nice if people can develop this. But I know someone's listening going, okay, well, if I'm nicer to people or if I notice things about them, how does that help me if I lose my job tomorrow?
Well, one is, when you feel good and you are proud of yourself, you are chemically creating a feeling of dopamine being released, which will make you feel more motivated. Bad things happen. They happen to all of us. And it's not about what bad thing happens. It's how did I cope with it?
That's how you started. How did you deal with the situation?
Yeah,
very good.
And that means who I am as a person. I often, and this might be a little bit ridiculous to people, but I often think if my life, and I'll go through things, and I'll be like, if my life was a movie or this was being recorded, what would I want it to be recorded as? When I think about what do I want to do going forward is, if this was a movie and people were watching and recording it, what would I want my next action to be? Because our lives are like books that haven't been written going forward, and you get to write it. So you have a lot of control over that. And so I would want to be classy, and I would want to be calm, and I would want to be helpful, and I would want to be that person when someone was being pestered, that instead of saying I'm not going to go there because I don't want to be the one standing up, that I would. You want to be true to yourself and be honest with who you are as a person. And for me, that kind of helps me feel like, even if it's trials and tribulations and horrible, but I'd be like, but I did well how I handled it, even if it was horrible, and I survived.
Well, I'm going to give an example of that before we close for today, where I thought it was out of a movie. So a few years ago, Georgia took me out for a birthday, and we put our bags in the back of your car, and we came back, and the car was smashed, and the bags were gone.
It was my car.
Yes, it was your car.
Yeah.
Did I say my car?
No. I was just saying that, we put the bags in. Yeah, I remember.
And I remember really feeling fairly upset. I mean, it was a robbery. Someone stole from us, and your car was smashed, and it wasn't a good thing. And I remember that's when I was really convinced on the Georgia Dowisms that she's really real, because it was like a movie, because your reaction was completely non-reactive, and you were like, well, I guess this person needed it more than we do, or they must really be in desperate times to have to do this, and I'll just get the car fixed. And I remember thinking, it's not possible. I was going to say in French, it's not possible that she's not reacting. I mean, it's a pain to get the car fixed. It's not possible that she's not angry at someone for robbing her. And you really weren't. And that was out of a movie. You were like, well, I don't know. Maybe if I couldn't feed my children, I would do it.
Maybe I would.
Yeah. It's
a
really good way to end the show. I mean, that was a life challenge. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, well, either way, the car was smashed. Now, if I could make it worse, and it was like we went out for your birthday, and I could make your birthday horrible by having a fit to it, or either way, it's not going to fix what had happened, right? So now I remember us walking down the road, and there was a guy with a guitar singing some song.
Let It Be or something like that.
In my mind now, that's what it is. And we went down and we sang together, walked down the road, and then drove home with the car glass everywhere, cold.
And I think, you know what, Georgia? I think that brings us to the last strategy, baby strategy number 9, which is one day this will be a funny story.
Right.
Which is a strategy I use in terrible situations. I know this will be a funny story one day. And you know what? Your car story is a funny story.
I do.
Singing, I forgot about the singing.
I think that as well. I think this will at least make a good story. I love that.
I love that too. Georgia, I cannot thank you enough for coming by with your strategies. I mean, it's almost like I forgot it was a radio show, and I've learned so much from you.
I've learned so much too.
I love it. I love our discussions, and I love doing this show because it comes about how to live your best life. And I think we have to remember to be mindful and to do our gratitude and to sing Let It Be if somebody breaks your car, whatever it may be, find the humor in it. I think that's so important. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
I'd like to thank again Spa Munari for helping make this show possible. And of course, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. And I'd like to invite you to all come back next week As I always say, if you're interested in more information about our retreats, therapy, or anything that was mentioned, check out helpforanxietydepression.com. Also on the straighttalksandrareach.com site, if you punch in straighttalksandrareach.com/radio gifts, you can get all sorts of free things from Georgia, from me, from other guests. I recommend you try that out. It's 100% free. Check out also the Facebook page, Straight Talk with Sandra Reich, and don't be shy to leave a comment and like us while you're there. Remember, you can hear this and any prior show as a podcast on my website, straighttalksandrareach.com, on the podcast app of your iPhone and on iTunes under Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. Feel free to drop me a line, a question, or a comment at info@helpforanxietydepression.com. If you are a professional and you're looking for keynote speakers on this topic or any others, remember that I'm your source for evidence-based practice and education. My name is Sandra Reich, and I promise I'll help you learn to live your best life again.
And you are one of the best speakers. I'll just say it. Have her come in. She is exciting and fun and absolutely amazing.
You're very nice.
Just saying, you are amazing. Hire her.
You're very cute. Sorry. I promise I'll help you learn to live your best life again next Thursday, same time, same channel. Thank you, Georgia. In the meanwhile, keep your eyes on the stars. This is Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.